Hi everyone, how are you? Hope you're doing well. My name's Carl. Welcome to this webinar on behalf of the TEFL org. Every week or every other week, we do live webinars where we discuss a range of topics in the field of English as a foreign language and teaching English as a foreign language. We are a teacher training company. We help hundreds of people every year to get abroad teaching or even just teach online to various places around the world, to various students around the world. My name's Carl, as I said. I'm a teacher trainer here in Northern Ireland. I'm also an English examiner and an online teacher. I have been lucky enough to have taught in many places around the world. I've taught in Sri Lanka, in Kazakhstan, in Japan, in Vietnam, in Azerbaijan, in Iraq, China, Spain and Italy for a bit as well. So please, it's a live webinar. Let me know where you are in the world. I can see already Doug said hello. Elle said hello. How are you? Sandor says he's going to Thailand next year. There we go. Mindor is going to Thailand in January, but plans to teach online. That's an interesting one. Tell us more about that, Mindor. Please let us know where you are in the world. And then you never know, you might make a friend in the chat. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn as well. Right, let's get going with this webinar. I should say, please do put any questions you have about teaching English as a foreign language in the chat. I will get to them at the end of the webinar. We always get way more questions than we can answer usually. So the earlier you get your question in, it doesn't have to be about Thailand, the earlier I will get round to answering it. Oh, and all the hellos are coming in. We've got Serbia, Turkey, Los Angeles, Wales, Italy. Hi, everyone. Right. So first of all, why teach in Thailand? And the first thing that I want to say is that I've been lucky enough to have had quite a few Thai students, either online or quite a lot of Thai students when I've worked at universities in the UK. And I think Thai students are fantastic. I always find them a lot of fun. I always find that they're willing to partake in games, to get involved. They also like to sort of get involved in sort of different cultural things. I've always found Thai students fun. So I think that's the first reason. We are, obviously there's lots of other good stuff about Thailand as well. But as a teaching English as a foreign language channel, which is what we are, I want to tell you that the students are fantastic. Going to talk about a bit more about sort of what problems they might have with English, which are quite a few. But in terms of personality, I think they are fantastic. Now, obviously, you got the geographical features of Thailand, which are, amazing, and everybody knows about them. Beautiful beaches. I was lucky enough to live and work in Vietnam. Went across a lot to Thailand. I had my honeymoon in Thailand as well. When I was in my early 20s, I backpacked all around Thailand. I thought it was a fantastic place. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. Koh Phangan, Koh Samui, all this kind of places. There's also a range of cities and a range of places to teach. So I think quite often when people think about moving to Thailand to teach, they sort of think about Bangkok. Maybe they think about Chiang Mai, which is a mountainous city in the top. But there are a lot of other cities, or what the Thai government classes as cities within the country. I think it's about 80 odd. So Bangkok is fantastic. It's a great place, but it can be a bit expensive. It can be a bit busy. You're not necessarily really close to the sea if you want to get there so weekend. I mean, you can get down at weekends, but it's not the easy thing for a short trip, that kind of thing. But there is a big range of cities and a big range of places. So if you see jobs advertising, like, well, that doesn't sound like Bangkok, that doesn't sound like Chiang Mai, I really would think get involved at Googling it, seeing the geographical location, get involved on Google Street Maps and see what you can do, and see if it's the sort of place that you might suit you more. Okay. There's also mountain locations. It's not all about the beaches in Thailand. You go sort of north of Bangkok and to the west, up sort of heading towards the borders at the top, Burma, for example, not into Burma, but up near there. Quite mountainous, lots of beautiful places. You will be really, really well loved there. The students will be so happy for you to come there. I reckon it'd be a great place to go teach. I love Thai food. It's hot, it's spicy, but it is beautiful, big range of different types of dishes. But please, if I could eat Thai food every day, I'd be quite a happy guy, I think. It's also quite easy to get around and travel. So within Thailand, buses are quite good, trains are quite good to them between the major cities. There's not an extensive train network, but there are trains in Thailand. And because it's on the backpacker trail, there are lots of good connections to get you around the country, which is fantastic for your days off. And there's a lot of public holidays where schools don't usually open in Thailand. So, you know, you might have long weekends, that kind of thing. That's, you know, a great way to do it. Also, from Bangkok, there are lots of sort of airlines, budget airlines that fly to different parts of Southeast Asia. You know, you can go to Vietnam, for example. You can get the bus to Vietnam from Bangkok, but you can fly to Vietnam. You could fly to the Malaysian islands. You can also get the train down to Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, that kind of thing. Right. So what are some of the requirements? So maybe you're here because you want to go teach there. Fantastic. What are some of the requirements? So you will see lots of adverts where they will say you need a degree, and you do. Is a short answer. Do you need a degree? I will pretty much say yes for Thailand. Why? Because the Thai government has decided that people with a degree in any subject, a 2 or 3 year degree, but to have those letters after your name, you need those to get the business visa. It's called. It's like a work visa to go and actually live and work in Thailand. So that's the best way to get into there. However, there are other opportunities. There is volunteer work you can do in Thailand. You won't need to have a degree for that. Volunteer work quite often maybe just gives you your accommodation, that kind of thing. Fantastic, good fun. There are also people I know who work in Thailand, get paid in Thailand without a valid work visa. However, you are breaking the law by doing that. And you also might have to keep leaving the country and coming back doing something called visa runs. Not something that I would personally recommend or personally want to do, but I do know people without degrees in Thailand that do this. However, I personally would not like to do that because you're sort of not tied to you have sort of less rights in terms of your jobs, but there are people I know that do that. You need a TEFL certificate. And the key number you're looking for is 120-hour TEFL certificate, like we offer here at TEFL.org. So if you don't have your teaching certificate yet, get on it, get started. Go to TEFL.org, www.tefl.org, and go to courses. You'll see some of the courses. The magic number you're looking for is this 120-hour. If you don't have any experience, you might want to think about some added on modules on top of that. You might want to think about a practical component where you spend the weekend with someone like me, helping you to get through some practical actual experience, either online or face-to-face. But the basic you want is this 120-hour certificate. Now, you don't necessarily have to be a native speaker to go work in Thailand. And there are a lot of jobs you see advertised that say sort of near native speaker level. What companies will quite often care more about than whether you are a native speaker. And to be honest, a native speaker, I've spoken about this so many times, what is a native speaker? But what they actually care about is generally your English level. You might have to prove that with something like a Trinity test or an IELTS test or a Cambridge test, for example. But if you can do that and you see a job you like, have a look if you think you're not a native speaker. You will also need to have a clean health check to go to Thailand. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not exactly sure what they check. I know when I went to China, for example, I had to have a tuberculosis X-ray, chest X-ray. I also had to have a HIV test in order to get the visa. I'm guessing it's something similar to that in Thailand. You will also need to have a clean criminal check in order to get the work business visa. Don't need to get it to visit, I don't think, although there probably are restrictions. But to get the work visa, you will need to have a clean criminal check. The final thing I want to talk about in the requirements is that Thailand is one of the good places to go if you don't feel like you've got much TEFL experience. Now, I've spoken a bit about, I've done webinars where I talk about where to teach with no experience. And I think Thailand is one of the better places. You will see jobs advertised where they say minimal or no experience needed. That does mean you need to have all these certificates and that kind of thing. But yeah, minimal experience is pretty good place in Thailand. Right. So what are the sort of typical classes you might be studying? You might be teaching, sorry, there's a lot of kids classes, a lot of kids teaching in Thailand. Thailand has a growing middle class. There's quite a bit of money swirling around the country, and they want to, those parents want their kids to learn English. So there's lots of kids teaching. And I've even looking at some job adverts today. I've seen jobs advertised where you teach from age 3 up to the age of 18. Students this age. I've done webinars the last few weeks on teaching kids, if that's your sort of thing that you want to get involved in. There are a lot of adults IELTS classes. So a lot of Thai students want to go study abroad. In order to do that, they have to take some sort of English test. The majority of them take the IELTS class. There we go. Business English, lots of business English classes, especially in Bangkok. You know, the big powerhouse part of the economy is in Bangkok in Thailand. Lots of people wanting to learn business English. There's also quite a bit of adult general English as well. Students that maybe who have got quite a low level and want to get up to an IELTS level or get up to a business English level, that kind of thing. Now, there are also sort of maths and science classes teaching. So if you've got a degree or your background is in maths or science, and you've also got your TEFL certificate, there are jobs where you might be teaching maths through the medium of English to Thai students. I've seen that quite a bit being advertised. So definitely something that that's worth thinking about if that's kind of what you want to get into long term, maybe. Right. So some of the packages, by this I mean sort of what you will get from the recruiters or the companies that advertise. Right. So now, accommodation for jobs in Thailand, it's not always included. So quite often you see jobs advertised, especially in China, maybe Korea, and they will offer you paid accommodation. They will pay for your accommodation or set you up in your flat, that kind of thing. Thailand, this is a bit less seen. It's not really the norm in Thailand for them to sort your accommodation. However, you will see adverts, and I'm going to show you some adverts in a bit, where they will say you have an accommodation allowance given. So what that tends to happen when you see a job advertised is the accommodation allowance is how much they think a flat or an apartment would cost in the town. And that's what they're giving you the accommodation. Now, that can work in two ways. It can be good, that accommodation allowance, because you know how much you need to spend on a flat. But it can also be bad in terms of you might want to get a nicer flat, and then you have to move into your own income wage on top of the accommodation allowance. Or other side of that is you might want to, you're quite happy with maybe a smaller flat, and then you can maybe pocket a bit of the accommodation allowance. So it's worth asking at the interview what happens with the accommodation allowance. Let's say they give you 4,000 Thai baht a month for your accommodation allowance, and you're only spending 3,000 on it, do you get the extra 1,000 as money, extra wages? Okay. Thai companies very much offer 12-month contracts. If you're looking for shorter contracts than 12 months, get yourself out to Thailand on a holiday visa. Go around some cities, or go around the city that you want to go live in, knock on some schools, say, I'm here for 3 months. Have you got any work? You then won't get a lot of the accommodation, that kind of thing, but that's pretty much the only way to get a shorter contracts. 12-month contracts tend to be the norm for people wanting to live in Thailand, especially if they're outside the country. Right, so flight costs are sometimes included. So you might see adverts and it says return flights from your country of origin to Bangkok are reimbursed. So you pay for it up front, they then give you the money when you arrive or after a month in their first paycheck, whatever it might be. But sometimes that is given as a bonus at the end of the 12 months. So after you've hit your 12-month contract, at the end of the 12 months, you then get your final wage. And then they might give you an added extra that will pay for your flight that you had at the first, in the first month when you arrived. Now, the reason why companies do this at the end is because what they don't want is to pay the flights for someone to come and work at the school. After a month, the teacher doesn't want to work there, or worse than that, the teacher's got another job lined up somewhere, and they've used the original company to pay for their flights. It's quite common to do this in various places around the world. Insurance. I've seen a lot of jobs in Thailand where you get insurance. I've seen medical insurance and dental insurance. This is quite important because if you're going to be away for 12 months, something bad happens to you, you want to make sure you're going to be okay, and parents aren't going to be left with some big, massive bill. Right. So you've seen the job you like, you've applied, you've gone through the interview, and I've done webinars where I talk about TEFL interviews. Here are some of the questions that I would be asking employers that you see. The key thing, I think, in Thailand specifically is how many contact hours will you teach? So you'll see jobs advertised and it will say 20 hours a week, or it will say 40 hours a week. Within that 40 hours, within that 20 hours, how much time are you in front of the students? And that's important because they might say, oh, actually, at that 40 hours, you're going to be 30 hours in a classroom talking to students. That's quite a lot. I've never done more than about 25 in a week. So important to ask how many contact hours. Now, if you've got 25 contact hours, if they're hourly classes and they're 25 different classes, 25 different groups of students, then you might have to prep for 25 different classes. That takes a while. So another thing that's worth asking, saying is, okay, within that 25 hours, how many of those classes will be similar? And they'll say, okay, well, you'll do 5-10 hours a week with one group of students, 10 hours a week with another group of students. That is less planning generally than if you've got lots of individual classes. What types of classes? I think that's important. If you're open to anything, and the best way to get work is to be open to anything. Teach kids, teach adults, teach business English. But if you are quite specific, you know, you're going to limit your range, but you don't want to turn up and know you're going to be teaching 3-year-olds if you don't want to teach 3-year-olds. Do you have resources? I think this is very important for newly qualified teachers, especially. Do you have resources? You know, what textbooks do you have? Is there a library within the teacher's room? You know, library is usually a couple of shelves where you can get materials from, that kind of thing. How much is accommodation in the city? I think that's important to ask. Do you don't want to have some sort of shock when you arrive because your accommodation is well expensive. Now, how much holiday will you get, and how much holiday pay will you get? So there's a lot of, as I said, of we call them in the UK bank holidays. These are holidays that are set by the government. You know, days to celebrate royal families, to celebrate flags, remembrance days, whatever that might be. Do you get paid for those? Because there's quite a few in Thailand. And also, how much holiday pay do you get? So if they're going to give you, let's say, 2 weeks off a year paid, that's great. That's not too bad. You know, it's not fantastic, but it's not too bad, especially if you get those Thai government holidays paid as well. Definitely worth asking because some don't pay. Also, what's the pay structure? You see a lot of jobs advertised where it is a low range to a high range. And what I would say then is you're probably going to start on the low wage. You know, most people do. How do you get up to the higher ranges? Higher range, okay. So I think this might be a good place to just show you a couple of. Let me just get this screen to show you a couple of jobs I've seen. So this is the first one that's on our own website. So if you go to TEFL.org and you go at the top here to TEFL jobs, click on that. You can select Thailand, other countries. So you can see this is in a city that I personally don't know of, but, you know, might be nice, worth looking. It's a 1-year contract. starting immediately. There's 2 jobs going, early years. So you see the teaching kids, no experience required. See, accommodation, no, but assistance provided. You need your 120-hour TEFL. Now, if you go down a bit, there you go. You can see it's a popular tourist destination, 10 maximum students per class. That sounds nice. So this is a question I'd be asking: 20 or 30 teaching hours a week. You know, there's quite a big difference there. You can see here there's a range of wages, 40,000 to 50,000. The end of contract bonus, that's probably going to cover your flights. You see 14 days holiday unpaid, worth thinking about, worth looking at. And there it is, smack bang up near the top, near Lao, right? That's just one of the ones that I've seen on our website. If you go to, this is a popular job website, eslcafe.com. At the top, you do find a job and then you select on the international. So you see here, they're looking for people to start pretty soon. 12-month contract, end of contract bonus, all that kind of thing. There's health insurance. You get 2 weeks paid vacation here. Does it say the location? I don't think it does. So that will be something they might. So quite often there, they have lots of different places where they're advertising for. Work permits, all this kind of thing. Assistance if needed, locating houses, all that kind of thing there. Attendance bonuses. So you can see there's quite a big difference in a couple of jobs there in terms of what you might do. So just something to be aware of and something to ask them, I think. Right. Okay. Right. Things to be aware of. So number of contact hours is definitely important. Yeah. What you need to do is make sure that it's a number that you can plan for and you're happy to do. Quite common in Thailand, as you've seen just in those 2 adverts, have quite a range. So 1 week you might be doing 20, the next week you might be doing 30. Worth asking. Right. Split shifts are semi-common in Thailand. What that means is you're teaching in the mornings and then you then teach in the evenings. So sometimes you teach people in you teach, let's say, kids before they start school. You might then teach adults in the evening after they finish work. I've done that before in Japan. It's not terrible, but it does sometimes mean that you finish work quite late and you're back in the next morning, but then you've got the day to have a little walk around, all that kind of thing. Consecutive days off can also be an issue in Thailand, whether you get 2 days off in a row. Sometimes you might get a Wednesday off, work the Thursday, then get a Friday off. That might be fine for you, might not be. Have a think, worth asking. There's a lot of admin and paperwork in the application process and on arrival in Thailand, Southeast Asia. It's not just a Thai thing, it's a Southeast Asian thing. So be aware that in the application process, they might ask you for copies of things, and then they might ask you another copy of things. They might ask you to go get something that you've not thought of before. It's kind of normal. It's not them being picky and them being annoying. It's just a normal thing to go through. The range in the wage is definitely an important thing to look for. There's quite a big difference. But if a 10,000 baht difference, that would make a difference to your life. If you're going to go to Bangkok, the cost of living in Bangkok can be quite expensive. It's a multicultural, multinational city. Lots of people live there, not just teaching English. There's lots of international people working there. What kind of apartment can you get that you'll be happy with? Right, so here are some typical Thai English issues that is definitely worth bringing up in interviews. So the Thai language doesn't use the Roman alphabet. So now a lot of Thai students are pretty good at, writing and reading the English alphabet because they learned it at school. But you do sometimes get ones that don't write or read the English alphabet very good. Very well, even. I can't even speak very well. So that's just something, with kids, you'll be doing lots of classes where you're doing handwriting, reading, that kind of thing. Pronunciation problems. The biggest issue that Thai people have with learning English is pronunciation problems. And these are the sort of things that I would bring up in an interview. Quite often you get asked for interviews in Thailand, how would you fix the pronunciation problems? I've done webinars where I talk about fixing pronunciation problems, but some of them you might want to bring up is things like final consonants. So at the end of the word consonants, there's a sound at the end. A Thai person might say final consonant. They won't say that final sound at the end. They would say, finer consonant. They wouldn't say at the end, so you would then do some activities to try and fix that. Noun and verb endings. So in English, plural nouns, the different verb endings we have for I, he, she, them, it. They've changed the verbs. That's not so common in Thai. So they don't think that it's a thing that you need to do in English. Something you need to work on. Sentence order. So English is a subject, verb, object language. Carl reads a book. Carl, subject, verb, read, a book, object. Thai, that's not quite the same. I think Thai is a subject, object, verb language. But please correct me if I've got that wrong. There's also a lack of articles in Thai. So a and the. So they don't think you need to use that in English. And you generally find that Thai people are better at reading and writing than listening and speaking. Listening's not too bad, but definitely speaking, they're definitely better than writing than speaking, because they get marked down quite often for their pronunciation issues. Right. Thank you very much. I'm going to get to some of these questions now. Right. Let me just get on that. So thank you, please. If you've had any experience of teaching in Thailand, or you want to go teach in Thailand, please do put that in the chat. Let's get on with some of these questions. Hello. The first one. Let's go back a bit. Kirst, how are you doing? Thank you for your question. Is there a big focus on grammar teaching? Right. So, Thailand, and I think this is probably true of most countries around the world. Okay. A lot of the ones that I've taught in, for example, Japan, the students, when they're growing up and they're going through school, elementary school, high school, they spend a lot of time talking about grammar, because they tend to have a local teacher who is pretty good at grammar, has maybe got a degree in English, and they're teaching English in the high school, or they're the primary school, the elementary school, and they're teaching lots of grammar rules to students. And you tend to find that a lot of students know grammar rules pretty well. What you are being employed to do most probably is to go into a language school and not teach grammar. You're probably going in there to teach skills. So speaking skills, writing skills, reading skills, listening skills. And grammar is a part of that for sure. But what you're trying to get is the grammatical accuracy. So lots of error correction in terms of speaking, lots of pronunciation fixing, in terms of writing, making sure that they're fitting what they're answering the question properly. That's the skill. It's not just grammar is part of writing. So yes, some cultures are focused on teaching grammar, and Thai students at school know those rules. Same with Japan, same with China. To be honest, it's the same with big parts of Europe as well. They get lots of grammar teaching, same as parts of South America. They get lots of grammar teaching. What they haven't got is someone in there to bring it all out in terms of skills. Okay. But you will have to teach some grammar. You're an English teacher. Noah, hi. If you already have a teacher certification, does it replace the TEFL course? No, it doesn't. Right, it doesn't replace. So I don't know. There's a lot of different teacher qualifications out there, not just in EFL. So you might have a teaching qualification in primary school science or maths or senior school. So I don't know what specifically teacher certification you're talking about, Noah. I have personally a range of different teacher qualifications, and they don't replace. They just build on each one. So if you've got a teacher certification in, let's say, teaching senior school students, that might not be enough to go teach EFL students, because that's slightly different. Teaching high school history is different from teaching English as a foreign language. So you would need to do a TEFL course. But if you have a teacher certification, that will only help you in applying for jobs. So if you've got some sort of high school, primary school teacher certification that allows you to teach in your own country to students of your own nationality, fantastic. Companies abroad will love that, but they will also expect you to have a TEFL. I hope that answers your question, Noah. It doesn't replace, just adds. Paul, hi, Paul. You're 73 years young, and you're finding the cutoff age is around 50, right? So Right, the cutoff age is not set by companies. It's quite often set by the governments of a country, and they have an upper limit because they don't want, unfortunately, in their eyes, what they think, older people to come to that country, and for older people to more likely to get ill. It costs their healthcare system, stuff, that kind of thing. There's pros and cons to it. I probably don't want to get into that. The schools tend to not want to, don't really care. I mean, I've taught in the Middle East with people in their 70s. I've taught in Europe with people in their 70s. But there are countries around the world that have an upper limit. Now, 50 seems young. The upper limit tends to be in the sort of 60s. So, if you're good enough, your qualification is good enough, that kind of thing, I think 50 you should still be fine. I hope so, Paul. I still have dreams of being teaching abroad when I'm in my 50s, which isn't that far off from me. Richie, hi. All right, Richie, you show off having a girlfriend. Well done. Would they accept a HND, or would you need to convert it to a degree? They probably would need to convert it to a degree. So HND is a UK-based qualification for people that don't know. It's where you basically do 2/3 of a degree, can get you jobs here, can get you jobs in various places. But that is not accepted as a degree, Richie. You would need to convert that to degree in order to get the work visa. Good luck. LinkedIn user. That's a great name. Might start calling myself Facebook user. Hi, everyone. Any ideas to salary range? Right. So how long is a piece of string? If you go live in Bangkok, your wage is going to be higher than if you go and live in that country, that town that I talked about 10, 15 minutes ago. That was the advert. So it's bizarre. Thailand is not one of the better paid locations in terms of the TEFL world. If you want to save money, what tends to happen as an EFL teacher is you get the average, and then you get an average salary for the country, and then you then get a tiny bit more. That tends to be what happens. If you want to be rich, you want to make money, you got to chase oil. That means going to the Middle East or other oil countries such as, I don't know, Azerbaijan. So there's a massive range. You would need to do your own research and check whether that's going to be enough for you to live in how you want to live. The other thing is, for some people, you might think, well, that's not enough because they like to go out to lots of fancy restaurants. For other people, they're like, oh, that's plenty. So it really does depend on yourself, LinkedIn user, and how much money you want to spend. Jamal, what about a theology degree? Don't offer that myself because I don't know anything about it. But yes, Jamal, if you want to know if that counts as a degree to go teach abroad, if it's a 3-year degree, if it gives you a bachelor's of, isn't there a specific, is it bachelor's of arts theology, or is it bachelor's of TH? Is there a special one just theology? I can't remember. But that will be fine. That will get you abroad with your 120-hour TEFL certificate. Good luck, Jamal. Aquamarine L. There's some lovely names going on today. You have a HND and a foundation degree, and you're studying TEFL with 120 hours. We'll be able to use these qualifications. I don't know what, off the top of my head, what a foundation degree is. I don't think I can answer that with any sort of certainty, L. But HND wouldn't be enough. Is a foundation degree then the first year of a degree? I really don't know what a foundation degree is. I'm really sorry, L. That doesn't help you at all. Send us a message through our website, TEFL.org, and then someone in the office might be able to answer that. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. And, you turn up in Thailand and go, well, Carl on Facebook said it'd be fine. Because they're not going to care. Debbie, hi. You're interested in utilizing TEFL work to work with small groups. Okay. So first, let's say, why do you want to work with small groups? It's an interesting one, Debbie. So you can, if I'm going to talk about face-to-face, if you go abroad and work face-to-face, you don't really have any say in terms of the class sizes. Now, they'll show you in the adverts, they'll tell you in the interview how big the class sizes are. You might get class sizes that are small. You might get class sizes that are big. I have had class sizes of 5 students. Fine. I've had class sizes of 300-400 in China. Okay. I've enjoyed them all. It depends on you. You don't tend to get to be able to pick. Now, if you go work online, if you go work for a company, again, you won't have any choice. But if you go find your own students to teach online, then you can groups about 2 to 5. That's fantastic, you know. So that is a possibility. That's the way to go. But going abroad, unless you see a job that specifically says we teach in groups of 5 or under, you don't really have a choice in it. But good luck, Debbie. Alex, how do you overcome the problem of locating a good school? Right. So it's an interesting one, this one. Okay. So it looks like you got 2 parts to your question. Right. The problem of locating a good school, pardon me, is interesting. Google is your friend. First of all, Facebook is your friend. Reddit is your friend. If it's a school where teachers aren't happy, teachers like to moan. Teachers write about it on Facebook. They write about it on Google. They give bad Google reviews, all that kind of thing. Now, just remember that not every TEFL teacher is perfect. And the TEFL teacher might have been an idiot and might have deserved to have been treated badly by the school. Okay. But if there's loads of 1-star reviews, then, you know, that might be a bit strange. So I would look into it, do some research yourself. Right. Now, your second part is you've used Dave's, but you've not heard anything from the school. So you've applied to jobs on Dave's Cafe. That website is eslcafe.com. Right. There's 2 reasons why they might not have got back to you. The first one is that adverts sometimes are a little bit old and they might have already found someone and they have no obligation to reply to you. Of course, it would be nice, but they have no obligation to reply to you. Okay. Right. The second thing, and this, you know, is worth looking at yourself, Alex, here are your application documents, files good enough to get an interview? So I have done webinars where I talk about applying for jobs. And if your application is not strong enough, then they might not take you on. They might not give you an interview. So that takes a bit of sort of looking at yourself and being honest with yourself, Alex. And I'm not saying that's the case for you because I've not seen your applications, but that might be as much of it as whether the school's good or bad. Okay. Thank you, Alex. If you've got one of our TEFL certificates, Alex, that's what I should say. If you have a qualification from us, TEFL.org, send us a message. We can help you with that sort of thing as long as you got your TEFL certificate through us. Okay. Wes, hi. Do you need to get a DBS check before you go, or do they do that there? No, you get one before you go. So what a DBS check that anyone doesn't know is a criminal background check. So that means in the UK, each country is different. In the UK, you go on a website, you put in your information, and you then get a piece of paper. I think I've got mine here. You get a piece of paper that looks something like this, and it tells you whether or not you have committed any crimes in the past. You then pass that on to the company in Thailand. Okay, good luck. Lots of people with 2-year degrees. It seems, but yeah, I think you need to have a 3-year degree. Apply for a couple of jobs and tell them that this is what you've got, and they will tell you whether that's enough to get to cover the qualification, if that qualification is good enough to get the work visa. T Dwyer, hi. Second half of next year. Right, so Thailand quite often has quite short application process, so they'll sort of, you know, be advertising sort of now to go within the next month, 2 months. It doesn't take that long to get through your documents to get the visa. Second half of next year, September, I'd probably start looking around Easter time, sort of see what's available. Yeah, but probably a bit too early now for the second half of next year. Good luck, T Dwyer. Lots of people saying they need, right, there we go. Let's go to one. Natalie, hi. Are there any plans that are similar to this one teaching South Korea? We've done this. Didn't we do one about, I should have said Alan is monitoring the chat and putting in the links and does all the fancy stuff with the video. I'm pretty sure we did one on South Korea, didn't we, Alan? I'm waiting for Alan to tell me in the private chat whether that's true. I'm pretty sure we did. I will have a look though and see if we did do one. Yeah, we definitely did one on South Korea. So Natalie, you're on LinkedIn. Might be better to look at us up on YouTube. So go to our YouTube page, which is tefl.org, and do a search to see if we've got see when the one is that I did about South Korea, where I talk about the EPIC, I think that's how you pronounce it, EPIK program and all that kind of thing. However, if it was a while ago, me and Alan will put one together that's quite common. It's quite recent. Okay. Thank you. I think we're about to run out of time, aren't we? Yes, I think so. A couple of people talking about teaching online to Thai people. So that's not what I've been discussing today. So I've not been talking about how to find Thai students online. That's a whole different thing. And you might want to have a look at some of my webinars where I talk about online teaching. Okay, well, how to find your own students, all that kind of thing. This was more about actually going to Thailand and teaching in Thailand. The thing I would say about trying to find online Thai students, they are nice. They might not, Thai students might not pay as much as some other nationalities, only because the Thai baht is not one of the strongest currencies. So if you're looking to make some money online, go after students that have lots of money. That's what I would say. Thank you very much, everybody that's still with us. I hope you really enjoy it. Thailand is a fantastic place, really worth going. Sorry if we didn't get around to your question. Please go on our website, tefl.org. Go on our Facebook group. Put questions in there. I monitor it. Alan monitor it. We get involved, answer some questions. On our website, there's a send us a message function. You can send us a message through Facebook, all that kind of thing as well. If you've got one of our qualifications, we can help you. TEFL.org. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.